Welcome back to New York Talk. I'm Elyse DeLucci. Welcome to my kitchen on the Upper East Side, episode 174. If you're wondering why I'm laughing, it's because everything's falling apart. The whole world, my whole life just falling apart. Anyway, fact of the day, there are 2 billion mothers in the world. There are 4.3 babies, just 4.3 babies born every second, but across the world. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm going to talk about why I just told you that fact. But first, you're like, where have you been? Where have I been? I had so many changes in my life in a very short period of time. It was very difficult. It is very difficult, just to deal with. Okay, so one of them is my eldest daughter. She graduated from elementary school, which is amazing, a huge milestone. But just as fast as they're born, just that 4.3 seconds, the baby's popping out all over the world, just as fast as they're born, they grow up. And I don't know, I wasn't really ready for her 5th grade graduation. I knew it was happening, of course. We talked about it all year, but I think on the actual day, I was like, oh my God, she's going to junior high school. And that's going to go so fast. It's 3 years and then it's going to be high school. Rumination, tumbling, just, everything that mothers, we think about. Okay. And then, of course, at the same time, because when it rains, it pours, our nanny of 11 years retired, and she has been so amazing. She's been with my eldest daughter since she was 3 months, so she was with us right when I went back to work after maternity leave with Annie. And then, she was with us from day one with Vivi, my younger one. Elmo, please, mommy's on the phone. And I really wanted her to stay until Vivi also got through elementary, but she's older. I think she's maybe 74, 73, and she just felt like it's time. I loved having her though. I have absolutely nothing but respect for this person, nothing but love. Not only did she raise my kids when I wasn't home to raise them, she has 7 of her own children, 7. And by the way, that was a prerequisite of mine when I hired a nanny. I said, I want to have somebody that's a mother. I want to hire somebody that knows how to be a mother instinctually, innately, from experience. I didn't want to have someone young without children. I also didn't want somebody young. I didn't want somebody on the phone all the time. That was my thing. And also, she really became like our paid for grandparents, so to speak. The paid for part's not so, but she did because, I'm, by the way, I'm filming this and I'm looking at how I'm filming it. And I'm sitting straight on. Why do I keep sitting like that? Even when I'm talking to people, I gotta turn anyway. Oh God, you look like a linebacker when you, but then it's body positivity. It's a whole, okay, moving on. Tooth's parents, they live in Wales. My mother's in Naples, Florida. And my mother wasn't always there, as you know, but she never really came to the city a lot. She wasn't really the grandmother that I thought she was going to be. And if she's listening to this, sorry, Mom. It is what it is. I thought that I was going to have a grandmother. I thought my kids were going to have a grandmother, my mom, that was going to be there all the time, come with us to stores, come on vacations. But no, she says she would have done that if we would have lived next door to her, down the block with her, even in the same town, few towns over. But you know what? Really? Would that have really happened? No. I think because if there's a will, there's a way, right? Come on. Let's be serious. Anyway, those were big transitions. Also, I had to start going out of the city more during the week to take care of some stuff. That has been, a schlep. I got a car. I didn't have a car. And then just other things that I'm not really gonna, not going to, just personal things, I think perimenopause has, showed up, has graced the stage. I am sweating. It's just a lot. You know how it is. Okay? You know what I've been dying for? This is also how I know that perimenopause is rearing its ugly head. It's July in Manhattan. It's sweltering out. I just got back from walking Elmo, my toy poodle, and I'm drenched. I had to come home. I had to wipe the under boob sweat. I had sweat down the back of my legs. This poor guy, I had to wipe him down with wipes, which, by the way, I recommend. Anytime they come in the house, I don't need all of Manhattan walking through every schmutz, every ski bots, all this. Some people, they tell me, oh, they don't wipe their dog's feet when they come into the house. I'm saying when when you live in Manhattan. I'm like, if you live in the suburbs and you don't wipe your dog's feet after they come from outside, fine. You probably have a mud room, a kitchen. I mean, you have a big space. They're not walking around. They're walking what? On the grass, on your sidewalk. In the city, they're walking in rat piss and raccoon feces, okay? I mean, that's the reality. Anyway, so you know how I know that I am probably hormonal is that it's sweltering out, and I am dying for Tzimmes. Do you know Tzimmes? It's a Jewish comfort food served around the holidays, Passover, Hanukkah, whatever. Basically, it's root vegetables with dried fruits, and it's usually sweetened, and it's kind of like a stew. So I think actually they do, I don't know if it's actually Hanukkah. I think it's Rosh Hashanah and Passover. Anyway, parsnips, sweet potatoes, regular potatoes. What else am I forgetting? Hold on, what else am I forgetting? Carrots. You slice them, you chunk them up, and then for your dried fruit, you do apricots, dates, raisins, for the juice. Yeah, and by the way, whatever you have, craisins, throw them in, prunes, or, maybe not. For the sweetener, a little orange juice, some honey. You're going to take your whole mixture in a bowl, and you're going to put it in a Corningware, and you're going to sprinkle some cinnamon at the top and dot it with a little butter, and you're just gonna, dump it in the whatever you have, and you're gonna cover it tight with foil. You're gonna bake it for like 40 minutes, and then when it's done, and by the way, the foil's over it, it steams everything. And then when it's done, you take the foil off for another 10, 15 minutes, and it caramelizes, and that's it. It's a side dish. You know what? And no. You put it in a nice little dish, throw a little piece of parsley on the top, and there you go. Holiday dish. But I just like to eat it. And I would say to you that I'll like to have it with macaroni, but that would be probably disgusting because that's carbs and sugar on top of carbs. Anyway. And by the way, you might have to bake it longer. Once the foil comes off, if you really want to make it, you might have to bake it for like another 20 minutes. Look it up. How about that? Look it up. Look it up on Google, okay? Last time I did my last episode, which I am going to get more frequent about. I talked about Turkish Delight. Did anybody get a piece of that? I did buy that apples and cutlets, and I brought it to my aunt's house for Mother's Day, my aunt in Connecticut. I don't know if I had told you that, but everybody loved it. Everybody loved it. I actually left it there. I forgot to try a piece because I was so stuffed. And so I met my aunt for lunch, a month ago, and she brought me some in a little baggie. And I just, I was like, one, I love that you saved me some, and it was delicious as expected. So people have been recommending books to me. I love books. I love to read every night before I go to bed. That's what I do. I like to read. I like to play the crossword. I play it on my phone. I know you're not supposed to do screen time, but I'll usually play the crossword. I do Wordle. I read, and then I, obviously go to sleep. That's when I'm by myself. When the kids are home, we all get in my bed, right? We all smush together in my bed. We all play Wordle, the mini crossword, which is on New York Times or at the New Yorker, on the apps, and we all read. And I told my girls recently, they could stay up as late as they want if they are reading. I felt like that's a good rule. Like for the summer, obviously during school, we're going to have to change that. But, they want to stay, they don't want to go to bed at 8:30, 9, whatever it is. So I said, you want to stay up till 10, 10:30, 11? Read a book. And they do. My older daughter, she's a voracious reader. I'm not just saying that, she really is. My younger one, not so much. She likes these graphic novels, they call them, AKA, books with pictures. So someone that is a listener I think her name is Allie. I can't remember, but she told me about this book, Tiny Hot Dogs by Mary Giuliani. Elmo, what are you doing? Stop. Mary Giuliani, Tiny Hot Dogs. It's about a girl that has a catering company. And I bought it on Amazon. I didn't read it yet. It looks very cute. I think she's from Long Island, Italian from Long Island, and I am supporting that, even if I don't like the book. Okay, I love that. Also, I have it in front of me. Young Pueblo, New York Times bestseller. I just bought and just started to read. It's called Lighter. Letting go of the past, connect with the future. Let go of the past, connect with the present, expand the future. Did my computer just shut off? I hate when this happens. He is, like I said, New York Times bestseller. He has a huge audience, like an audience like 4 million people. His books are about, brace yourself, so California, healing, relationships, creating healthy relationships, all the stuff that comes with when you work on yourself. He's done a lot of silent meditations. He talks about, he writes poetry. Someone mentioned him to me in the book, but I was like, I feel like I know this name, Young Pueblo. How do I know it? And because I think it was Facebook or Instagram, I don't know, I was retargeted, or how these posts, whatever that happens. And there was these little poems, almost like a haiku. It was like just a few lines. And they were really poignant and they really made me think, little tiny poems. And I was like, who is this? And that's kind of how I found him. And then obviously got the book recommendation. So like just right now when I open the book, guy dealt with drug abuse, took a toll on his obviously health, mind, whatever. And he used drugs to run away from his past, like how all of us have any vices, drinking, eating, I don't know, whatever. And then, he realized that this is a dead end street, and it's a self-help book. I don't love fiction books. By the way, Tiny Hot Dogs is, I think it's like based on real life, but it's like fiction-ish, it's an ish. I've been reading a lot about girls doing solo trips, not on the book front, just in general, women going on solo trips. What do we think about this? Now, here's the thing, okay? Let me tell you what my thing is. What's funny to me? Everything gets rebranded, Like when I was in college, I did study abroad. I lived in Italy, I lived in Rome. And I went to American University of Rome. And the school was great. Every Friday they gave the students off. And the reason for that was because they wanted us to travel. So we all traveled, in groups and stuff, but some of us went by ourselves. We all had the Eurail pass. And I went all over. It was the times before Instagram. So, just everywhere. Spain, Barcelona, Belgium, Switzerland. I went skydiving over the Swiss Alps. That was crazy. Oktoberfest in Germany, and what was that? International Weed Smoking Festival in Amsterdam. I don't even remember. I did so many things, and a lot of them on my own. I didn't brand it as a solo trip. But and was the world safer then? I don't know. But I'm a part of a group on Facebook, which I recommend you join, or you tell your daughters or whatever friends. It's called Girls Who Travel. And I love this group because it's also, people get recommendations for hotels and destinations, but a lot of it is women from the ages of, like 25 and up, all talking about where they're going, routes that they should take, accommodations, whether it's, inexpensive, whether it's hostel, whether it's, mid-level. And it's just like a sharing resource. And everybody talks about, I'm going on a solo trip, saved my money, next month. And everybody seems to go on these solo trips after something happens in their life, after they go through something. I'm not going on a solo trip, but I am going to be going to the North Fork alone in a couple of weeks. Not and only because I accidentally booked the wrong dates. I thought the girls were with me, and they're in camp, so they're not with me. They're with Tooth. But I'm going alone, and that's fine because I like that, and I need to write and work on bits and that kind of thing. And the North Fork is beautiful. It's beautiful. It's way more low key. And only complaint is the sand. The sand is like pebbles. It's a pebble. At least where I go, it's pebbly. But I like it. It's just I like East Hampton. I used to go to East Hampton a lot, but it just got so ridiculous. A friend of mine told me he was out in where was he? I think he was in East Hampton. And him and his wife, they went to get a cocktail, and they were at like a, restaurant, bar, whatever. And they got hungry, and they look at the menu and they want to get a lobster roll. And the lobster roll was $110. $110 for a sandwich. People, have we lost our mind? And I'm not, this is not lunch. Lunch on Montauk Highway, which is, by the way, delicious, but also expensive. I can't believe it. And by the way, on lobster rolls and lobsters, completely unethical way of killing them, the boiling. You throw these guys in the water. I just sent to the Tooth. I said, title of the email, lobsters, body of the email, banned. This is what I do, link. And I said, please read this. And it talks about, the way that they kill lobsters. I didn't know this. Lobsters, they feel things. They feel things. They're obviously, they're not, it's not like a dog, but they feel things. They could feel pain. So if you want to have a humane way of killing them, or humane-ish, they say freeze them. Ugh, freeze them alive. Doesn't that sound horrible? But throwing them into boiling water, when you hear that noise, that it makes, it's the noise of their insides like exploding. I know, it's horrible. And they feel that. Those poor lobsters. And I'm not eating it anymore. I don't need to eat lobster. And besides, at $100 for a sandwich, they could keep it. There is a place on the Upper East Side. What is it called? I'm totally... Luke's Lobster Rolls or maybe it's Lobster. I don't know. I used to live on 81st. It was 81st. It's on 81st between 2nd and 3rd. And I ordered in from there like maybe a couple months ago before I read the lobster thing. And I got, I got like the bigger version of the roll. It was expensive. It was like $40. And it wasn't a full like hot dog bun size, But I was dying for it. So I said, all right, I'm going to get it. And the butter, it didn't come like liquid. The butter was hard. I said, not like a pad of butter. It was like it meant to be liquid. It was in the container, but it got like skivas, And I just, I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing it. I'm spending all this money. Forget it. Just forget it. Okay. I found a product that you need to get, because I have been telling every single person about it. Bag Balm. I probably am going to tell you this a million times. If you have very dry lips, like I do, and one of my daughters does, this is like a miracle thing. I never heard of it before. It comes in a green tin container, and I have one right by my bed. And they also have, like a lip gloss kind of one, which I actually had to search hard for. I got a pack of 3. I swear to God. I put this on, and any dry skin that I have, gone. And, it's like $9, $10, which I love. Elmo, please stop. Mommy's on the phone. Just stop. He has his lamb chop, and it fell somewhere like between the couch. Oh, God. No. Come here. I should have sent him to daycare. I have a quote for you, because I guess we're going to be done, because now the dog is dogging. John Wooden, one of the most famous basketball coaches in the history of the U.S. I don't know how I got turned on to him, but I am. He has so much wisdom, and I love this thing he says, your kids require you most of all to love them for who they are, not to spend your whole time trying to correct them. Now, if all of our mothers were like this, wouldn't we have been so much healthier? I think my generation and the generations to come, I think we're going to do a slight little better job at parenting because everybody's so much more self-aware and has emotional intelligence. Elmo, if you do the growling one more time, mommy's going to have a fit. I'm on the phone. Wait a second. Do you know what my neighbors must think? My neighbors must think, what goes on in there? One day she's talking to kids, the next day she's talking to dogs. She's crazy. I love him. I love what he has to say. And I don't know, I try to be as emotionally intelligent as I can. Okay, that's it for today because this dog's giving me a heart attack. I'm Elyse DeLucci. This has been fun. I will talk to you next week. New York Talk. Love to love you, baby.